guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Kirsten, and of course it is the time for my monthly book haul. And I've shown a bit more restraint this month. I only have 10 books to show you this time, which we are getting there on less book buy-in. Eventually, maybe, who knows. Let's get straight to this book haul. The first book is one that I actually picked up with a voucher that my lovely partner got for me because he's amazing. And with that voucher, I picked up Dracula's Child by J.S. Barnes. This seems really interesting. First of all, for those that don't know, I love retellings. Any and all retellings, I love to read them. I love seeing how authors interpret the original works. Dracula is also one of my favourite horror classics. I think it's absolutely superbly written. And this one, what intrigues me so much about it is it's still in diary format, which I love. I love it when they're keeping something that the original author did. So for those of you that don't know, the original story of Dracula is written in diary entries from both Mina and Jonathan, and Dracula's Child is continuing that, which I think is amazing. I don't want to know too much about this. As always, I prefer going into my books knowing less because then I'm less disappointed, unlike a certain book like Angel Mage. If you haven't seen that vlog, you should watch that to understand what that means, because I was expecting one thing, got a completely different thing, was so freaking disappointed it was unreal. That's a tangent, but that's why I don't like going into books knowing things, because that way you just can't be disappointed. To be honest, I don't think I'd be disappointed by this anyway. It seems really atmospheric. I read the first page and was instantly intrigued, and of course we're talking about Dracula's Child. From the sounds of it, it's Mina's child and he is acting very peculiar, and it's going to go from there. It sounds fascinating. I did have a couple of pre-orders, and one of those was V.E. Schwab's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and if you haven't heard about this book, then I don't know where you've been, because it has been shouted about everywhere on Bookstagram, on Booktube. It is receiving so much hype. Now, I hear there are two types of reviews on this book. One, it's beautiful and amazing and it's gut-wrenching because it is so upsetting in places, and the other type is people that prefer V. Schwab's other works because this is written very differently to her other books. So like the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, the Villain's Duology, that is very different to this book. I'm just excited to see what she does with it. It's got an intriguing premise. We are following Addie LaRue, who has made a deal with the devil and she is now pretty much immortal. But the side effect of that is that everyone she meets forgets her. She can't leave an impact of her life. And from what I have heard, it's a very sad story because of that, and it talks a lot about loneliness and that. So I think I'm gonna have to be prepared when I go into this, because some people have cried. And I cry at books normally. It doesn't take much. So I think I'm gonna have to be mentally prepared to go into this book expecting a very sad story. But one, this cover is stunning. I got it from Waterstones. But the inside, these end pages are gorgeous. Under the dust jacket is even more beautiful. And we have sprayed edges. Could this book be any more beautiful? Genuinely, I think that would be impossible, because I think it is a stunning book, and it's going to be one that is filled with beautiful writing from what I've heard. So I'm very excited to get to it, if a bit nervous that I think I'm going to cry. Then we have a book that I was super excited to get and I still really want to read, but because of the readathon that I'm taking part in, which is Slayerfest, which is hosted by Brittany from the Continuing Chronicles, who I'll have linked below. This is the last book on that TBR and I have to read it in order, and I just desperately want to read this. This is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is the second book. I'm not sure if the series has a name, but the first book was From Blood and Ash, and that was amazing. I loved it so much. We have a vampire war going on, which, hello, that's great. In case you haven't noticed, I quite like vampires. Perfection. And we have dark fantasy romance, which I love dark fantasy, I love a good slow burn romance. This has it all. I'm super excited. I really want to see how Poppy evolves as a character, how she deals with some of the plot twists that happened at the end of the book. It's just going to be an amazing book to read. But I have like 8 other books to read before I can get to it, so I just can't wait to read this. and all I've heard is good things on Bookstagram, because From Blood and Ash was definitely much a Bookstagram made me buy it book, and oh my god am I grateful I did. And everyone has already read this book from the looks of it and they all loved it, and I've been trying to avoid spoilers because I want to read this. Can you tell? I didn't even tell you what it was about. So yes, there is a vampire war story going on, and we're following Poppy, who is our main character, and she is a maiden. And in the society, they have something that's called the Ascended, and the Ascended are people that have ascended. It's all very hush-hush, but Poppy is the start of the mass ascension that they're going to have, and they haven't had one in generations, and so she is highly revered. As a result, she is not allowed to talk to anyone, she's not allowed to hug anyone, she's not allowed to receive any affection, and if she does things that the Duke deems as not correct for someone of her station, he's allowed to have private lessons with her, which I say it every time, but it's messed up and I can't think of any other way to say it than that. So that's Poppy's story. She's very frustrated, she's fed up with all the restraints on her, and along comes Hawk, who is the main love interest, and he starts challenging her to be like, no, don't keep accepting what you've got, don't you think all these things are weird and unusual and not quite right, because, spoiler alert, they're not quite right. It was a little bit predictable in places, but I still loved it, and I devoured the first book in 2 sit-ins, and that's over 600 pages. I very much expect to do the same with this one. Then I also picked up another book with the voucher that my partner got me, and that is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov? No, Nabokov. This is a modern classic, and it is a very difficult story, and even when I got it, the bookseller in Waterstones was like, you're braver than me to be able to read this book. The main reason why I want to read it is because I read My Dark Vanessa by Katie Elizabeth Russell earlier this year, and I found it to be a really interesting, impactful story, and it's following the very same premise of Lolita. So in My Dark Vanessa, we're following our main character Vanessa, who is groomed by her English teacher, and in this they reference the story of Lolita an awful lot. But it's a story I haven't read, and as much as I know it's going to be an uncomfortable read, and it does deal with some very dark topics, it's a book that I want to know where our stories come from. I want to know where this original classic story started and how authors like Katie Elizabeth Russell have interpreted it. So I find it interesting to be able to do that. Is why I like reading horror classics, because the horror classics like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dracula, they have been interpreted so many times over the years, and although this is more of a disturbing read than those, it's still one that I think is worth it to read to see where it all originated from, or at least it is for me. So as much as this is going to be a more difficult read, it's one that I'm still excited to get to because I love seeing where it originates. I don't think I need to say what Lolita is about, but it's basically about a man that grooms an underage child and the resulting effect of all of that. Like I said, I haven't actually read it, so I don't know fully, but I know that's the basic premise of it. Then I did get a book from a charity shop, and that's Vox by Christina Daicher. This is a book that honestly I've seen floating around on Bookstagram and Booktube, and some people have spoken about it. It's more of like a dystopian, I believe, but it wasn't one that I was ever really interested in, never really looked at, but I saw it in the charity shop. I read the blurb and it seemed really interesting to me, so I thought, why not? We're basically in a world where women are only allowed 100 words per day to talk, and I don't know what happens if they go past this. All I know is that they have to choose their words very carefully. They're in a society where men overrule everything, and it just, I don't know, it just caught my attention. It's £2, why not give it a try? Then I also got The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is a book I've been really excited to get, but kept dragging my feet about it because I really didn't like the UK cover. Now Bobbie from Bobbie's Dusty Pages has an absolute stunning edition of The Diviners. She has the Australian version and it is absolutely gorgeous. I'll have her channel linked below, but she has spoken how much she loves The Diviners, how she really wants to reread it, and also Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte has also been talking about this book a lot, and I'm like, sod it, I'm just gonna have to pick it up. And thankfully I found the US edition on eBay, so although I paid a little bit more for it, it was worth it because I much prefer this cover. And as much as people say covers shouldn't matter, I'm sorry, but they do to me. Like, they really do. But in this, we're following our main character. It is set in the 1920s, which, oh my gosh, I'm super excited for. The flapper atmosphere is going to be amazing to read about, and we also have a paranormal situation going on, a bit of a murder mystery that's involved, so it just sounds really good. I can't wait to give this a try. I've heard the first book is really good. I know apparently some people have said the fourth book could have been better, but I'm happy to give this a try, and like I said, 1920s vibe, yes please. Then I had another pre-order come through, and that's The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. Christina Henry is an author that I really have enjoyed her other works. I have all of her darker retellings, so of Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Little Red Riding Hood, and she's also done one of Little Mermaid. I've enjoyed all of her books. Alice was my favourite, that was a 5-star read, and the others haven't quite lived up to that, but it's been enough that I'm still happy to get whatever her books are. She's just an author by author. Then I saw this one coming out, and it seems really spooky. I don't believe it's a strict retelling of anything. I know we have a bit of a creepy forest, and children are going missing from what I believe. Again, I don't know too much about this because I don't like going into books knowing everything about them because I don't want to be disappointed. It seems like a bit of a creepy read. Christina Henry does do darker stories, and I quite like that. Every so often you just want a creepy read to pick up, and this is definitely one. I'm hoping to get to it soon because I like picking up these darker reads in around autumn and winter. It just suits my mood because there's no sunshine, so. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. I'm excited to get to it. I don't know much about it, but I am hoping to get a spooky, atmospheric read with a bit of a creepy forest involved. I also got another book from a charity shop, and that's You by Caroline Kepnes? I can't pronounce that surname, I'm really sorry. I have seen the Netflix series. I only saw the first season, and I think I watched that with my sister. I think we sat down and watched that together. It was interesting enough. It was a bit of a thriller, and honestly, this book is all told from Joe's perspective, and Joe is our stalker. I haven't read a book like that before, and it was going for £2, so I thought why not pick it up, and I might just give it a try if it comes up on my TBR game or something. I'm not overly fussed about the cover at all because I don't like it when it's the TV or film cover because it's just... But like I said, it was £2. I don't think this is going to be a book that I'm absolutely going to love. I'm expecting it to be more of a 3-star, but every so often, to break up some of the heavier fantasy books that I read, I do like picking up a little thriller here and there, and I don't have many of them, so why not give this one a try? I've heard some people really do enjoy it because they like Joe's perspective on it because it's from his perspective, so you know it's wrong what he's doing, but he justifies it to himself, so I think that's going to be very interesting to read. Then we have a book I'm super excited to read, and that's Beneath the Sugar Sky by Seanan Mcguire. This is one that I cannot wait to get to. So I started Every Heart a Doorway a little while ago, really enjoyed it. I actually preferred Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is the second book but is technically a prequel. Basically, in this world we have children that go to different places, so like Alice going to Wonderland, and the children that go to Narnia, because I've forgotten their names. But like those, when they go to those different places, this is showing what happens when they come back, and the fact that even though the places that they went to were oftentimes cruel, horrible places, is where they felt most at home. In Every Heart a Doorway, we are following one main character who goes to this school for the children that have been to different places, but there is a murder mystery going on. In Down Among the Sticks and Bones, we get the backstory to Jack and Jill, which... honestly, that was a brilliant retelling of Jack and Jill. I loved it, and all of Seanan Mcguire's books that I've been reading in this series, which is the Wayward Children series, have different things that she likes to focus on. So in Jack and Jill's one, it was focusing on how bringing up a child is so important, and how if you force your ideology on how they should be rather than allowing them to be themselves, the consequences of that. So it is a bit heavy-handed at times because they are such short books. They're all under 200 pages, but I still really enjoy it. And in this one, again, we're following a different set of characters, but all linked to the first book, Every Heart a Doorway. Bobbie, who I've mentioned previously, she has actually finished this series, or at least all the ones currently, I believe, and she has enjoyed all of them. And I really need to get a move on and get the rest of these books read, because they are quick reads and they are really good. I think they're really well done, especially for a short story. It's so hard to get so much into a story, and yet she does it really well without it feeling too rushed. So excited to carry on with this one. And the final book I picked up is Naomi Novik's A Deadly Education. This is one, honestly, I wasn't going to pick up. I really wasn't that interested in it. I'd been seeing a lot of hype about it on here and on Bookstagram. But then I saw it in Waterstones and I read the first page, and now I am completely intrigued and had to buy it because it just sounds so fascinating. I don't know where it's going to go. I have no idea, but it does sound really good. We're in this school setting where our main character is attending, however there are no teachers, the school is trying to kill you, and to pass and get a good grade you basically just have to survive the school. That sounds fascinating to me. It sounds like it's going to be a fun time. The main character, from what I read of the first page, sounds very sarcastic, so I'm excited to give this a try. Plus I really do like this cover, and again the end pages on this are absolutely lovely. I love the map that we get of the school, and I have heard some really good reviews that people have enjoyed this book, and a lot of people have reached out to me on Bookstagram saying I should really give this a try. So this is me giving it a try. Like I said, I have read the first page and it does seem really intriguing. But that's it. Like I said, not actually that bad. This is probably the least amount of books I have bought in a while, which is quite good going for me, but I do know I've got a stack of pre-orders still to come and in November, so that's probably going to get a bit out of hand. But what's a book that you've picked up this month that you have really enjoyed, or one that you cannot wait to get to? I'm a nosy person, I want to know all these things. Are there books out there that I should be picking up? Do let me know, because the book buying is never going to stop. As much as my partner wish it would, because we're running out of space, it's never going to. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All my social media links to my Instagram, Goodreads and Twitter will be linked below, and I'll catch you in the next one.